Right now, as promised, I'm joined by a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers, a Super Bowl champ, 5 receptions, 42 yards, and a touchdown in Sunday's win over Cleveland for the season. 5 touchdowns and 32 receptions. Packer Jordy Nelson joins us. Jordy, good to have you back. How are you?
Doing good, Jim. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for doing this. Good to have you. You beat the Browns Sunday, Jordy, 31-13. Aaron Rodgers, perfectionist that he is, was talking about how it wasn't the cleanest win ever. Where do you come out on that? I mean, is a win and do you just keep moving? Or do you kick yourself a little bit for not making it a little bit easier than maybe it could have been on yourself?
No, you definitely take the win. It's never easy to win in the NFL. And so especially with the injuries and everything that we've had, we had a lot of young guys playing. So it was good to see them out there, made some big plays for us. Jared Boykins had a huge game, and it was just we enjoyed watching that. But you take the good and the bad from every game. You have to learn from your mistakes, improve on those so you don't make them again, and you continue to improve each week.
I'm going to ask you about the injuries, but you mentioned Jared Boykin. This is an undrafted player out of Virginia Tech, and in his second year, he had 8 receptions, 103 yards, and a touchdown. You've seen him in practice. Did you know he had this kind of performance in him, or did he surprise you a little bit?
I had a feeling he was going to have a good game. Now, I don't know if you can ever expect someone who really hasn't played that much to go out and get 100 yards and a touchdown and was half a yard from getting another touchdown. But he works hard. He is just waiting for his opportunity. And we've always had a very good depth here with the Packers at receiver. And last year in the preseason, we saw him make some plays, and obviously that's why he was able to go from undrafted to making the 53-man roster. And so he was sitting back there. You know, he's been learning, he's been watching, and made the most of his opportunity. And it was great to see, and I know everyone enjoyed it.
Hey, Jordy, one more thought about that. I mean, he's working hard, and it seems like he came out of nowhere, but you would know better. Is this about how good of a player he is, or is it about how good Aaron Rodgers is?
It's a combination. I mean, a receiver, I mean, you can be open every time, but if a quarterback can't get you the ball, then you're not going to be any good. But on the same hand, if the receiver's not out there getting open, I mean, the quarterback's not going to be able to complete a pass either. So it's a combination of both. Obviously, everyone knows Aaron's a great quarterback, but if you sit down and watch the film, Jared was making great catches, running great routes, had separation from his DB, and making it, you know, somewhat pretty easy for Aaron to complete those passes. So that's, I mean, you can look at it both ways. I think they both are good players. Obviously, Aaron's one of the top, if not the best quarterback in the league. And Boink, he went out and played his game and made it pretty easy for Aaron to complete the passes.
Packers wide receiver Jordy Nelson joining us. Jordy, a very scary moment, obviously, when Jermichael Finley took that shot to the head. After a 10-yard gain in the fourth quarter, it led to him being taken off the field on a stretcher. What kind of emotions were you experiencing when you saw that?
A little bit of everything, I guess. At first, you know, the first thing you see, you know, obviously a guy goes down. Immediately you're thinking concussion, and you expect him, you know, to wake up. You know, they usually talk to him. They get up, they walk out the field. It's usually the routine, but obviously, when a guy lays there longer and longer, you start thinking more and more. And I said this after the game. For whatever reason, that one hit me a little harder than some others have. And you start, you know, second-guessing what you're doing for a career and how long you want to do this. And, you know, if you should start counting your losses, you know, get out before something bad happens type thing. But the training staff did a good job taking care of him. Obviously, they're very precautious with him, especially since he had one a couple weeks earlier. But he's recovering well. Went and saw him on Monday after the game, and his spirits are up and doing good.
You know, it's a really honest answer. It's a really candid answer, and I appreciate that. You know, was that just kind of a passing thing? Did you have those questions and do a little bit of soul searching, then just go right back to the normal mindset, or maybe are those questions still in the back of your mind?
They come and go. Like you said, once they get him carted off, it's a, you know, you don't have a choice, but it's hard to do. But we're right back in the huddle, and we're talking like, all right, we got to go, you know, convert on this drive, and let's go score, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's just crazy how our minds work, and how you kind of have to flip the switch back and forth. But it still flashes every time something like that happens, even if it's on your team or you see it on TV. You know, it's a rough game, and you can be put in some awkward situations, and you hope for the best that everyone can walk off the field, and I mean, like, now with Jermichael, I mean, obviously, number one goal is get back completely healthy for him and his family, and then football is number 2.
And Jordy, not to belabor it, but I've never understood how you guys do that. I've never understood, and it doesn't mean that you don't care, obviously, but it's just business. It seems like you get right back in the huddle and you go back to work. How do you do that? How do you put that out of your mind?
I honestly don't know. It's one thing. I think it's just maybe it gets drilled in you at a young age of playing football's a game you can't play half speed, and you can't be thinking about anything except your job and, somewhat protecting yourself and, just playing football. Because the moment you start thinking about something else or slowing down or anything, then that's really when injuries happen. You can't kind of play cautionary, and you play too much of trying to protect yourself, you're actually probably going to hurt yourself. You always have to be going full go and, and just let things happen, everything like that. So it's weird, and I think you just, after you play football long enough, you just, unfortunately get used to guys getting hurt and then just moving on and, hoping the best for them and checking them out after the game.
Jordy Nelson joining us, and again, I appreciate your thoughts on that. All right, so you're 4-2, and there have been a lot of other injuries. If I had said to you at the start of the season that you'd be without Clay Matthews, Randall Cobb, James Jones, they'd all miss time, would you expect to be where you are right now, 4-2?
I don't know. It would be interesting because I think for the most part we had those guys when we lost our 2 games, so that's even more, difficult question. But we've, for some reason, have always had the injury bug up here. We expect guys to step up and play. Our coaches and our scouts do a great job of bringing in young guys and making sure they're developing, and they understand that they're going to be relied on at some point in time to make a play. And I think it could also be a positive thing. Guys come off the field, like I said last week with Jarrett Boykins, when he goes out and makes a play, you feel the extra energy from him. You feel the energy on the sideline because we're really rooting for those guys that, are kind of lower on the depth chart, just need that opportunity. So they can bring a little extra energy and excitement to the game for us as well.
Jordy, this weekend you've got Minnesota, which means it'll be the first time that you face Greg Jennings as a Viking. After he left, he had some things to say about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers in particular. Of course, you and I talked about this. You brought Greg to your farm way back in the day. So when you heard him say some of the stuff that he said about the team and Aaron, was a part of you thinking, man, this is not the same guy that I artificially inseminated cows with? What happened to my man?
Yes. At first, I thought it was some jokes. When it continued, I didn't really know, but it's disappointing. I mean, whenever, to be honest with you, when anyone ever talks about your teammate, it's hard. I mean, because we know there's guys in the locker room, and some guys might just be judging them from the outside. But I think it's even more difficult when it's a guy who leaves your team, someone that we go out on the field and play with year after year. You have that bond, and just because you put on a different uniform, I guess things change a little bit. But it was a little disappointing, but I think it's all been kind of washed away, and we'll be focused on the game and not thinking about that.
Hey, Jordy, one last thought. Listen, guys, great players are not always easy to play with because they're so demanding. I'm sure Michael Jordan was not an easy guy to play with. Kobe Bryant may not be an easy guy to play with. Aaron Rodgers is a great player. Is he tough to play with in that regard, or is he easy to play with?
It kind of goes both ways. I think you just have to learn how to play with him. He's an extremely intense, competitive guy, and you have to, just learn from some of his demeanors and how he acts and everything. But he's just competitive, and once you realize that, it doesn't bother you. And he just wants to make sure everyone's doing their job the way they're supposed to do it. And he's our leader, and that's the way he leads. He's very demanding, and it's necessary. Guys need to know what they're supposed to do and do it when they're supposed to do it. And if everyone does that, then everyone will be on the same page and things will be running smoothly.
That was an excellent interview. Jordy Nelson, Green Bay Packers wide receiver. Jordy, thanks so much. Great to have you back.
No problem, Jim. Thank you.
I enjoyed it. Good job, Jordy.